What if I told you that the path to true influence isn't about being nice, but about mastering a hidden, often ruthless, game of human psychology? Author Robert Greene, in his groundbreaking and often shocking book, The 48 Laws of Power, argues that if you can truly understand and even seduce your opponents, absolute power becomes yours. He claims that mastering these laws doesn't make you a worse person. Greene sees power as a magnificent social game, one that demands a deep understanding of human nature. But here's the crucial part. You must always take the indirect path. This book distills over 3,000 years of accumulated wisdom, drawing from countless civilizations. It's a real-world guide on how to become truly powerful, an invaluable resource for anyone seeking to get ahead. But be warned, some of these laws will challenge everything you thought you knew about success. Law 1. Never outshine your master. Let's dive into the first law. Never outshine your master. Imagine Nicolas Fouquet, who made the fatal error of appearing more brilliant than his king, Louis XIV. His reward? A lifetime in prison. The lesson is simple. Always make those above you feel comfortably superior. Hide the full extent of your talent. Sometimes this even means making harmless mistakes so you can ask for their help, making them feel indispensable. But if you're inherently more attractive or charismatic than your boss, Greene suggests avoiding working for them entirely. Law 2. Never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use enemies. Now for a law that might sting a little. Never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use enemies. Consider Michael III of the Byzantine Empire. He was saved by Basil, rewarded him richly, and granted him immense influence. Basil's gratitude? He killed Michael, driven by greed for more power. People are fundamentally selfish and pursue their own interests. Friends are often more prone to envy and quick to betray. An ex-enemy, however, has more to prove and can be surprisingly trustworthy. Be warier of friends than enemies, and if you think you have no enemies, honesty rarely strengthens bonds, leading friends to hide their true feelings, which can be incredibly dangerous. Greene advises, keep friends for friendship and leave work to the competent. Bury grudges with enemies and put them to service. Even frame conflicts as good versus evil to rally public support. It's better to know your true opponents than to be blind to betrayal. Still think your inner circle is impenetrable? This next law will make you rethink every interaction. Law 3. Conceal your intentions. Next up, conceal your intentions. Keep your true aims vague and shrouded in mystery. This way, your opponents can't anticipate or defend themselves. Mislead them. By the time they catch on to your schemes, it's already too late. Exploit humanity's tendency to trust appearances, present false intentions, and they'll inevitably miss your true plan, making them always say less than necessary. Then we have always say less than necessary. Louis XIV's servants lived in fear of delivering bad news unable to predict his reaction. All he'd say was, "I will think about it," before dismissing them, leaving them in suspense. Powerful people impress with few words. The more you talk, the higher your chances of saying something foolish. Silence makes people uncomfortable. They'll try to fill it, often revealing their own intentions and weaknesses. Control what you reveal. Maintain sharp silence, and speak only when you have something truly meaningful to say. Remember, actions speak louder than words. If you're still with me, you're about to discover why your public image is more powerful than any army. Law 5. So much depends on reputation. This brings us to so much depends on reputation. During World War II, Rommel's reputation for cunning and brilliance frustrated his opponents, making soldiers doubt their chances of success against him before a single shot was fired. A strong reputation amplifies your power, distracting opponents from who you truly are. It enhances your presence without exhausting your energy. Your reputation is your power's cornerstone. Use it to intimidate and win. But if tarnished, you're exposed to attack. Make it impenetrable. Anticipate attacks, and even destroy enemies by exposing holes in their reputation. Your reputation precedes you. Build and protect it with unwavering care. Law 6. Court attention at all costs. Then court attention at all costs. Pablo Picasso refused to fade into the background. He'd rather paint something ugly and unconventional than be forgotten. In a world judged on appearance, you must stand out. Make yourself grander, more interesting, more mysterious. Surround your name with excitement. Any fame brings power. It's better to be slandered than ignored. Cultivate an aura of mystery. Keep your cards hidden. People are drawn to the enigmatic, and anticipation makes everyone eager for your next move. Ever wondered how some people achieve so much, seemingly without lifting a finger? The next law holds the key. Law 7. Get others to do the work for you, but always take the credit. Next, get others to do the work for you, but always take the credit. Thomas Edison, more businessman than scientist, famously exploited Nikola Tesla's genius, taking all the credit for his advancements. Never do what others can do. Use their wisdom and knowledge to advance your cause, appearing more competent yourself. The original workers will be forgotten. You will be remembered. If you insist on doing everything yourself, you won't get far. Find skilled individuals. Then find a way to take credit for their efforts. But ensure your position is secure, or you risk being exposed as a fraud. Law 8. Make other people come to you. Use bait if necessary. Otto von Bismarck said, "When I bait deer, I don't shoot the first deer that comes to sniff, but wait until the whole herd gathers." This illustrates make other people come to you. Use bait if necessary. Force your opponent to react to your moves. Lure them to you, and they'll abandon their own plans. Entice, then attack. This strategy prevents you from reacting defensively, instead forcing them to respond to your initiatives. It's a long game. Sit back, stay calm, and let others fall into your carefully set traps. The quality of your trap is defined by the attractiveness of your bait. Sweet enough bait blinds your opponent, granting you supreme power. Stop arguing seriously, because the next law reveals why words are almost useless in the pursuit of power. Law 9. Win through your actions, never through argument. This leads to win through your actions, never through argument. Mucianus's engineer insisted his ammunition was better, and despite being correct, was sentenced to death by his powerful superior. Never argue with those in power. Agree, suggest an alternative, then present your proof. Any victory won through argument is fleeting. Resentment festers, but real change in opinion rarely occurs. Instead, let your actions speak. When people are swayed by your deeds rather than your words, your influence is far more lasting. Words are cheap. Actions reveal true metal. Law 10. Infection. Avoid the unhappy and unlucky. Beware of infection. Avoid the unhappy and unlucky. Lola Montez, through seducing the King of Bavaria, toppled his entire kingdom, leaving a trail of destruction and chaos. Her lust for chaos was insatiable. Emotional states are contagious. Some miserable individuals destroy their own fate. And if you get too close, they'll drag you down with them. Associate with the joyous and the lucky. The unlucky often play the victim, and before you realize they're the cause of their own misfortune, they will have infected you with their misery. Your associations are critical. Wasting time on the miserable drains your potential power. Cut ties with instigators of fire. Try to help them, and you'll burn too. Want to secure your position and gain ultimate freedom? You need to make yourself absolutely irreplaceable. Law 11. Learn to keep people dependent on you. This brings us to learn to keep people dependent on you. Otto von Bismarck became an indispensable asset, guiding the king to unite a powerful kingdom. No one else could have done what he did. To maintain independence, you must make others need and want you. The more people who depend on you, the greater your freedom. But be careful. Don't teach them enough to make them self-sufficient. This is the most effective way to get people to do your bidding without force. Once dependents rely on you, you can skillfully do with them as you please. Law 12. Use selective honesty and generosity to disarm your victim. Next, use selective honesty and generosity to disarm your victim. Count Victor Lustig, the con artist who famously sold the Eiffel Tower twice, once convinced Al Capone to invest $50,000. Instead of fleeing, he returned the money 2 months later, admitting the deal failed. Capone, admiring his integrity, gave Lustig $5,000 as a reward. The key to successful deception is distraction. Generosity pulls attention away from your true intentions. Learn to give before you take. It's the skillful way to get what you want, setting up your target for the ultimate play. Ever noticed how some requests always get a yes? The secret isn't charm. It's something far more primal. Law 13. When asking for help, appeal to people's self-interest, never to their mercy or gratitude. This leads us to when asking for help, appeal to people's self-interest, never to their mercy or gratitude. In 433 BC, Corcyra and Corinth both sought Athenian aid for war. Corinth reminded Athens of past debts. Corcyra spoke only of shared interests, a joint naval force against Sparta. The Athenians sided with Corcyra. When you need help, frame your request with clear benefits for the other party. When allies see their own interests aligned with yours, they respond enthusiastically. Self-interest is the greatest motivator. Master the art of designing what others want and using it for your own plans, and your achievements will be limitless. Forget loyalty. Dismiss past favors. Aim for win-win deals. Law 14. Pose as a friend. Work as a spy. Next, pose as a friend. Work as a spy. Charles Maurice de Talleyrand, the French politician who orchestrated Napoleon's defeat, perfected this. He rarely spoke, instead encouraging others to talk endlessly, to the point of betraying their thoughts. Intentions. Think peace treaties are about compromise? Think again. The next law is brutal, but essential for absolute victory. Law 15. Crush your enemy totally. This brings us to crush your enemy totally. To crush an enemy partially means they will eventually recover and seek revenge. True peace and tranquility only come when your enemies disappear entirely. Eliminate all your opponent's options. They'll have no choice but to submit. When they have nothing left to negotiate with, no room for maneuver, you have truly crushed them. Law 16. Use absence to increase respect and honor. Now use absence to increase respect and honor. A dervish, asked why he wasn't seen more often, replied, "Because the phrase, 'Why didn't you come to see me?' is sweeter than 'Why did you come again?' The more present you are, the more common you become. Create an aura of scarcity to boost your perceived value. If established in a group, withdraw intermittently. Others will talk about you and admire you more. Learn the right time to pull back. This forces people to respect you. When you return, you'll seem reborn, and people will be relieved to see you again. Predictability is a weakness. The most powerful people embrace chaos, and you're about to see why. The Law 17. Keep others in suspended terror. Cultivate an air of unpredictability. This leads to keep others in suspended terror. Cultivate an air of unpredictability. After Picasso became famous, everyone assumed his work was calculated. But art dealer Paul Rosenberg was baffled when Picasso suddenly ended their collaboration, unable to grasp the why, and offered a better deal. Humans seek patterns. By acting unpredictably, you wear down your opponent's attempts to analyze you. Strike, surprise them, and they'll feel they don't understand you. Becoming intimidated. If at a disadvantage, unexpected moves confuse enemies, leading to tactical errors. The unpredictable is terrifying. When people can't prepare or plan against you, you hold the cards. Put others in this state during negotiations. Law 18. Do not build fortresses to protect yourself. Isolation is dangerous. Next up, do not build fortresses to protect yourself. Isolation is dangerous. Isolating yourself from enemies and the world cuts you off from vital information. leaving you vulnerable. Mingling with people offers greater protection. Humans are social creatures. Power stems from social interaction. The more isolated you are, the easier to deceive, and you lose touch with reality. If someone urges you to cut off friends and family, realize they seek control. Whether intentional or not, it's dangerous. Introvert or not, prolonged isolation causes psychological harm. To become powerful, be at the center of things. Resist the urge to retreat when uncertain. Instead, seek old allies and force yourself into new social circles. Ever wondered why some minor annoyances turn into all-out wars? It's all about choosing your battles and your enemies. Law 19. Know who you're dealing with. Do not offend the wrong person. This brings us to know who you're dealing with. Do not offend the wrong person. Muhammad Shah Khwarazm Wanalashik decapitated Genghis Khan's peace messengers. Genghis Khan responded by declaring war, seizing his capital, and killing Muhammad by pouring molten silver into his eyes and ears. Later, he brutally invaded the vast empire. Avoid offending others. You never know who you're dealing with. In a world full of easily offended people, choose your opponents wisely. Some, if defeated, will dedicate their lives to revenge. Accurately assessing people is paramount for gaining and maintaining power. Know everything about a person before working with them. Don't rely on instinct or appearances. Observe your target over time for a realistic picture of their true nature. Law 20. Do not commit to anyone. Next, do not commit to anyone. Alcibiades, the Greek soldier, was honored by Athenians and Spartans due to his influence over the Persians, and by the Persians for his influence over the Greek city-states. He played all sides to his advantage, never committing. Loyalty to one person is self-surrender. Stay out of petty battles and quarrels, and be neutral whenever possible, keeping all your options open and your influence widespread. The smartest person in the room often pretends to be the dumbest. The next law explains why. Law 21. Play a sucker to catch a sucker. Seem dumber than your mark. This brings us to play a sucker to catch a sucker. Seem dumber than your mark. Socrates famously said, "The only wisdom is knowing that you know nothing." But in reality, this was his method of disarming people. Sometimes, play the fool. Make opponents less cautious. No one likes feeling stupid. The great trick is to make them feel smarter than you. Once they believe they are superior, they will never doubt you. Showing intelligence is foolish. Pretending foolishness is the height of intelligence. Law 22. Use the surrender tactic. Transform weakness into power. Now, use the surrender tactic. Transform weakness into power. The Melians refused Athens' offer to surrender, and, despite their alliance, the Spartans never came. Melos was destroyed, its people slaughtered or enslaved. Surrender before you are defeated. This buys time to attack and seek revenge. By surrendering, you deny enemies the satisfaction of destroying you. Turning surrender into a tool of power. It makes opponents believe they have won. Avoid weakness, but when in a weak position, choose to fight another day. You may lose the battle, but not the war. If you're spread too thin, you're doomed. This next law explains why ruthless focus is the ultimate weapon. Law 23. Concentrate your forces. This leads to concentrate your forces. The larger an empire, the weaker its borders. Rome itself eventually fell to barbarians. In any organization, it stems from a small group. Power is like oil. Find it once and secure continuous wealth and influence. Law 24. Play the perfect courtier. Next, play the perfect courtier. Charles Maurice de Talleyrand, the man who brought down Napoleon, was the epitome. He wasn't helpless. He trusted no one but seemed trustworthy. He spoke little but found the perfect words at the perfect time. Everyone loved him. Charming, intelligent, useful. He appeared neutral, always wore a genuine smile, and no one doubted his intentions. This allowed him to gain positions of immense power, even surpassing the king's rank, without the associated risks. He observed the chessboard like a shadow, knowing he'd win regardless of which pieces fell. A courtier exercises power through indirect channels. By submitting to superiors, they gradually accumulate influence. To become a skilled courtier, practice indifference. Adapt your style to your audience. Avoid being the bearer of bad news. Never criticize superiors. Be self-aware. Control emotions. And be a source of pleasure. Whether you like it or not, you play the game of power. Choose to be good at it. Ever felt trapped by what others expect of you? It's time to rewrite your own story completely. Law 25. Recreate yourself. This brings us to recreate yourself. Others will label you based on what they think they see. You might get genuine praise, but friends, society, even the government expect you to be a certain way. But you have the freedom to choose who you want to be and to change whenever you wish. Reject the role society offers. Reshape your identity, crafting one that commands attention. Master your image instead of letting others impose it. This requires self-awareness and emotional control. Then, create an unforgettable persona. The world is your stage, and you are its author, the main character. Act accordingly. Law 26. Keep your hands clean. Next, keep your hands clean. Machiavelli advised Cesare Borgia to use Ramiro de Orco as a tool for terrible actions against enemies. Then, make him a scapegoat. All blame fell on de Orco, and Cesare not only appeared clean, but also demonstrated positive change. It's an absolute betrayal to be exploited. Avoid being a scapegoat. Always maintain a good appearance. You should never be associated with base deeds. Your reputation depends more on what you conceal than what you reveal. What if I told you there's a foolproof way to gain endless loyalty, making people want to follow you? Almost like a cult. Law 27. Play on people's need to believe to create a cult-like following. This leads to play on people's need to believe to create a cult-like following. There are two types of people: those who want to know and those who want to believe. Position yourself as something lofty, and they will follow you, granting you countless power. To do this, keep your words vague, simple, but full of promise. Emphasize enthusiasm instead of thought and reason. And crucially, create an us versus them dynamic. Law 28. Enter action with boldness. Next up, enter action with boldness. When you execute a scheme, one thing must be clear: you are not playing games. You do not hesitate, and your moves have a high success rate. Mike Tyson's opponents knew they were defeated the moment they flinched and broke eye contact. It's a game of hesitation versus boldness. To overcome fear, you need courage. Be bold. Law 29. Plan all the way to the end. This brings us to plan all the way to the end. Think through every possibility that could prevent you from reaching your ultimate goal. This way, you can absorb any surprises and secure your future. Most people are trapped by emotions in the moment, clouding their vision of the future. Before acting, consider potential outcomes and consequences. Calculate the risk, then proceed if it's worth it. Your ultimate goal must be perfectly clear. Avoid vague plans. Want to be seen as a genius, a master of your craft? The secret is to make everything you do look incredibly easy. Law 30. Make your accomplishments seem effortless. Now, make your accomplishments seem effortless. Harry Houdini made his thrilling performances look incredibly easy. No one saw the endless work, preparation, and practice behind each piece. Make your silence has immense benefits. The more mysterious your actions, the greater your power. You'll appear special, with an exclusive, boundless gift no one can replicate. Make it seem improvised, spontaneous, natural. Boast about your effort, and you'll make the magic disappear. Law 31. Control the options. Get others to play with the cards you deal. This leads to control the options. Get others to play with the cards you deal. Ivan the Terrible forced Russia to choose him as Tsar or destruction by enemies. He made them believe he was their only protector. It wasn't truly the only option, but they were unaware. They begged him to return, exactly what he wanted. Give opponents a choice, and they feel in control. They won't realize you're manipulating them into choosing between two scenarios, both serving your interests. Faced with limited options, people rarely consider others. They blindly. Too much freedom creates anxiety. A narrow range of options directs your opponent into your hands. This is the standard in elections and critical situations, an illusion like Houdini's performances. Reality is often ugly. But if you can master the art of illusion, you can control the masses. Law 32. Play to people's fantasies. Next, play to people's fantasies. Il Brigadino, the alchemist, convinced people he could turn wood into gold. The only gold he gained was from people wanting him to multiply theirs. Truth is often ugly. Relying on it risks disappointment and anger. Instead, exploit the illusions of the masses, offering an alternative to harsh reality. Notice what people dislike about everyday life, then conjure illusions promising the opposite. Then, if it seems too good to be true, it almost certainly is. Law 33. Discover each man's thumbscrew. This brings us to discover each man's thumbscrew. Cardinal Richelieu discovered everyone's weaknesses, then made himself immensely beneficial to them until he worked his way up to the king, who was just a child. Find your opponent's weaknesses: self-doubt, an unchecked emotion, or an ill-considered desire. Look for childlike behavior, indicating unresolved trauma. Contradictions: arrogance often hiding self-doubt. The weak link: a person behind the scenes controlling their behavior. Ways to fill their insecurity void, or methods to encourage their uncontrollable emotions. They can't control themselves, so you can control them. If you want to be treated like royalty, you first have to act like it. It's not about birthright, it's about a mindset. Law 34. Be royal in your own fashion. Act like a king to be treated like one. Christopher Columbus refused his low birth status. He remade his family tree, married into nobility, and mingled with kings. People assumed there must be good reasons behind his bold demands. How you present yourself dictates how others see and treat you. Program yourself for self-respect, confidence, and dignity, making it seem you're destined for power. Demand and expect as much as a small child does. Believe you are destined for greatness, and that belief will radiate, making others believe it too. Ask for less, and that's exactly what you'll get. Law 35. Master the art of timing. This leads to master the art of timing. Napoleon Bonaparte said, "We can recover places, but we cannot recover time." Never appear rushed. Haste betrays a lack of control over yourself and time. Always be patient. To appear as if you know everything will eventually come to you. Be an investigator. Look for the right moment and trends to carry you to power. Learn to retreat when the time isn't right, and strike with precision and force when the opportune moment arrives. Ever tried to crush a minor annoyance only to make it worse? The secret is often to just ignore it. Law 36. Disdain things you cannot have. Ignoring them is the best revenge. Next, disdain things you cannot have. Ignoring them is the best revenge. Acknowledging a minor problem gives it existence and credibility. The more attention you give a small enemy, the greater its power. Often trying to fix a small mistake makes it worse. Sometimes it's better to leave things alone. If there is something you want but cannot have, disdain it. The less interested you appear, the more superior you will seem. Law 37. Create compelling spectacles. This brings us to create compelling spectacles. Dr. Wieslater claimed to heal patients simply with the energy of moonlight. Why was this obvious deception so successful? People believed he was too amazing to be a fraud. Rich and famous figures waited in line to be treated repeatedly. By generating grand and stunning gestures, you will increase your presence and your power. People will be too dazzled by appearances to discover who you truly are. Unlike using words, visual gestures possess an emotional and immediate power that leaves no room for doubt. Want to avoid being an outcast? Sometimes the most powerful move is to simply blend in. Law 38. Think as you like, but behave like others. Now, think as you like, but behave like others. By openly going against the current, people will begin to resent you because you make them feel inferior. By doing so, you will be left alone to express your true beliefs in a targeted manner. And once a power base is established, you can gradually begin to spread your beliefs. Until then, conform outwardly. Law 39. Stir up waters to catch fish. Next, stir up waters to catch fish. If you can remain calm while infuriating your opponents, you will be able to gain an advantage. You'll find their weaknesses, then annoy and manipulate them as you please. The angrier they become, the more ridiculous the situation will seem, and this will diminish their authority, making them prone to mistakes. Nothing in life is truly free, and ignoring this simple truth will cost you far more than money. Law 40. Despise the free lunch. This leads to despise the free lunch. Don't trust anything that comes for free. Everything is worth paying for. Most free things come with a high cost. By paying, you avoid falling into traps of gratitude, guilt, or deception. Furthermore, generosity, giving freely, is a powerful sign of your own status and power. Law 41. Avoid stepping into a great man's shoes. Next, avoid stepping into a great man's shoes. What comes first always seems better and more creative. If you follow a great man or have a famous father, you'll be forced to achieve double his accomplishments just to surpass him. Don't get lost in the shadows of predecessors or a past not of your making. Define your own name and identity by forging a new path, distinct from those who came before you. Ever notice how an organization collapses when one person leaves? It's not magic. It's the 42nd law. Law 42. Strike the shepherd and the sheep will scatter. This brings us to strike the shepherd and the sheep will scatter. As the saying goes, when the tree falls, what is an army without generals, without leadership? Entire empires are held together by a few key leaders with iron willpower and vision. Remove them, and like Alexander's empire after his death, they will splinter, collapse, turn against each other, and flee. The glue that holds any organization or social hierarchy together often lies with a few people at the top. Understanding who controls the group is therefore crucial. Target them directly. Law 43. Work on the hearts and minds of others. Next, work on the hearts and minds of others. In October 1793, Marie Antoinette knelt at the guillotine, having never cared what her people thought of her as their queen. She focused on herself and paid the price for her narcissism and being outrageously spoiled. If people feel compelled to act, they will resent you. You must persuade others to act as you wish without needing to ask them. By understanding their psychology and weaknesses, you can play on their emotions, winning their hearts and minds to ensure their loyalty. By courting them, you can slowly bend people to your will without them even realizing it. Want to disarm your enemies and make them destroy themselves? Just show them their own reflection. Law 44. Disarm and infuriate with the mirror effect. Now, disarm and infuriate with the mirror effect. When you reflect your enemy's image, doing exactly what they do, you cause them to overreact. You make them believe that you share their same values, making it difficult for them to understand your strategies. By holding up a mirror to their actions, you will teach them a powerful lesson. Few people are able to resist the potent, disorienting power of the mirror effect. It makes them fight against themselves. Law 45. Preach the need for change, but never reform too much at once. Next, preach the need for change, but never reform too much at once. If you've recently entered a position of power, respect the way people have lived until this moment. Too much change will generate a revolution. When introducing change, make it seem like a gradual, subtle improvement of the past. People crave stability, even when they say they want change. Guide them gently. The biggest mistake you can make? Trying to be perfect. The next law explains why. Law 46. Never seem too perfect. This brings us to never seem too perfect. While appearing superior to others poses a great danger, appearing flawless and without weakness poses an even greater danger. Revealing harmless vices prevents envy from festering, making you more appealing. Allowing envy to fester can provoke countless methods that will ultimately try to strip you of your power. Stop envy's development by appearing strong, yet be relatable, even in your ambition. Law 47. Do not go past the mark you aimed for. In victory, learn when to stop. Now, do not go past the mark you aimed for. In victory, learn when to stop. The moment of victory is often the moment of greatest danger. In the heat of triumph, arrogance and overconfidence can push you to exceed the goal you were aiming for. By going too far, you thereby increase your enemy's chances of defeating you. Don't let success go to your head. Nothing substitutes strategy and precise planning. Set a goal, and when you reach it, stop. The war is won. Don't start a new one unnecessarily. And finally, the ultimate secret to survival in the relentless game of power: be like water. Law 48. Assume formlessness. This brings us to the final law: assume formlessness. By taking a certain form, by having a clear, rigid, accept the truth that nothing is certain and no law is fixed. The best way to protect yourself is to be fluid and formless like water. Never bet on stability or permanent order, as everything is subject to change. As Bruce Lee famously said, you must be without color, without form, just like water. When you pour water into a cup, it becomes the cup. When you pour water into a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Be water, my friend. The 48 laws of power are not for the faint of heart. They reveal the raw, often uncomfortable truths of human nature and the relentless pursuit of control. Whether you choose to wield these laws or simply understand them to protect yourself, this knowledge is a profound tool. Use it wisely, for in the game of power, ignorance is rarely bliss, it's a weakness.